This conference will now be recorded.
Peterson.
Here.
Luther.
He's 2 minutes away.
Stella.
Here.
Lamar.
Here.
Mo. Lewis.
Here.
Wilson.
Here. All right. On to approval of agenda modifications. Everyone's had a moment to look at there. Is there any modifications? Otherwise, I will entertain.
I'd like to add a quick one thing under, I'm not sure, it'd be new business. Yacht Club sponsoring Venetian night.
Okay.
Cool. Here.
Yes.
It's been a while since we've done this. Do we have to vote on that?
Yes. You have to vote to add it.
Okay.
You have to vote to approve the new agenda.
Get a motion.
Second.
Second.
Well, he did them.
He did it.
All right.
I'll second it.
All right. So, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
All right. And then we have to vote to add it, you said?
So now you got to vote to approve the modified agenda.
All right.
To add it.
Okay, we just voted to add it.
Make a motion to approve the amended agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Ricky.
That wasn't too late.
Delay there, Rick.
So motion carries. Any other modifications to the agenda?
But you've already approved your agenda, so now you got to go on to
We
the,
just move forward. Okay. On the approval of prior meeting minutes from January 5th, 2023. Everyone's had a moment to look at that. Any changes? If not,
I'll make a motion to accept as presented.
Second.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. On to business. Line item number 1, 2023 dock replacement proposal review. Shannon.
so we got dock bids and I was super excited because we got 4 dock bids from various firms. We had sent it out to only 2 of the individuals that bid, and 2 of them were naturally found it and came to us to submit bids to us.
Okay.
We had a significant amount of interest. There was one bidder who missed the bid time, so he was disqualified.
Okay.
Unfortunately. So other than that, you guys have had a chance to review them and look at them. What was your thoughts?
And I thought there was clearly some people that they definitely know what they're doing versus others that seem to be just kind of a bid that they threw out.
I think the Cedarville one, to me, was the most intriguing. They've been around for 30, 40 years. I checked with one of our captains who was up here this summer, Wayne McCarty, who hauls docks for that particular company.
Mm-hmm.
He's a trucker and also a captain. And said that they're just a rock solid company. And about our old docks, which he was familiar with because he spent the summer here last year after Cootware died. They have the pans that are falling apart in their old dock system where he's at.
Mm-hmm.
And this company is giving them a solution, taking them out and fixing them. So I was impressed anyway. And the price is, that's the one with the install by the city if they want to do it. I'm not suggesting that, but
The Canadian firm that uses the culvert for flotation, I couldn't tell, do they fill that with foam or something?
Nope, they said that's air because it's an easy repair. If you get a hole in it, all you do is braze it shut.
they said something about ballast.
Yeah, they can add water.
Ballast to water to keep it from.
Looks like they've done a lot of stuff in Canada.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I felt
They're from Canada.
They're from directly across the lake.
Very sound.
like the Canadian company had like the most robust package, and my limited knowledge of docks seemed to have the most like pretty bulletproof system as opposed to some of the other presenters, which was more like here's foam, here's wood. There seemed to be,
Right.
I mean, they kept talking about how their system, they've seen it last long. Was it them that said they seemed to last longer than 35 plus years? Yeah, which is nice because their bid was, because they had the main bid and they had an alternate, right?
They had an alternate. I asked them all for just delivery, and delivery was with install.
Install price on top of that.
And their total price was what, on the high 200s, right? It was like
59,
total.
Price was,
40.
they were 240, 646 installed. They were, just supply was 220, nope, wait a minute. They were 259,
725.
725 installed. They were 231.
They're pretty spot on with everyone else's bids, except for Holcomb.
Holcomb is out of Sandusky, Ohio. I talked to him. I think they're used to Sandusky area.
That's an all steel framework though.
That's a pretty,
On Sandusky, yes.
yeah, it was a pretty,
It was a pretty substantial, pretty robust system.
So
He wanted to give us the opportunity to take a look at it and see if it was something we could work with. It is extremely outside the budget, I can tell you that.
yeah.
What have we got? What have we got to work with?
I got about 316,000.
Okay.
So
I like the tube system idea, but it's so contrary to what we have. That was my only deviation from that thought.
I mean, in terms of maintenance for the city, is the tube more easy to, because I remember the old sock system, you'd find foam floating all over the place. I mean, this seems to be a little bit more of a robust.
Yeah, there won't be foam.
Yeah, there won't be foam, and then it's just a matter of patching any potential corrosion spots in 20, 30 years. I mean, in terms of maintenance, is the one that stands out better for you in terms of between the Canadian company and then the Cedarville group?
Canada, again, I'm not familiar with their docks. Flotation system has docks in our marina right now. That's actually the docks that are on Prentice Street. Are from
And
flotation.
they've improved that. Because that's what I was asking us Wayne about. I said, because he said theirs were doing the same thing. You know what happened? It fell apart. There's beads all over the place.
Yeah.
And they have a solution for that, and the new system is that solution.
Correct.
Which is.
You can go stainless.
It's not necessarily a plastic. It's a heavier grade metal that they're putting on the bottom. We discussed that when she was on site.
does, like, I like the Cedarville from the standpoint, they'd be, the dock would look similar to both sides of the docks would be
Yeah,
uniform.
you're not introducing a,
So it looks more uniform. And I thought, well, their system was like, Al mentioned what I was going to mention is that, we have some issues with our current dock. I mean, really, the current docks look good. We power washed them. They look
Right.
fine. They don't need to be replaced, but they do need some repairs because I know at the end of our dock, some of the foam is missing because you walk in the dock and it's like this. So maybe it's possible that the Cedarville could also, while they're here, do some repairs on our current dock.
We actually had that discussion, me and Joni did when she was here looking at the docks. The product is finally available again. I reached out to them a year ago, trying to get some help with what was going on there. And she said, I know you reached out to me. She's like, we finally have that product available again. All we need to do is lift the docks out,
Right.
roll them on their side on the parking lot and repair them. And she said she can get me a price for that repair material.
because this guy I was talking to, they're replacing 6 of their finger docks, same thing, same dock as ours.
So my other thoughts because it kind of seems to be between those two, is that I like the Canadian system, but Cedarville isn't very far away from a warranty standpoint or.
I mean, how much would that play into effect with dock systems, the difference between like who's close versus who's not, geographically speaking? I mean, I gotta imagine they would.
To that, I will say again that I reached out a year ago for help with our docks. And she finally discussed it 2 weeks ago when she was here.
Okay. So
Floating dock systems?
Yes.
Okay.
Flotation dock systems. I will put out there was a couple times I reached out to her because they were the suppliers of the docks, and she was always good when I asked her for pricing, but hey, I'm having problems and I don't know what to do. And again, the docks are from the 80s, so I mean, do you really need to provide customer service
Yeah, something
later?
years, yeah.
What's the warranties on
really no warranty on them. They're docks. For once
Like
they hit the,
company said 15 years, but
Yeah. one company said 15, but,
Well, because they're going to say you ran into it
Oh,
or
yeah.
whatever.
and that's, it's much like putting shingles on your roof. You have 25-year shingles, and I've yet to see anybody actually get a warranty. It's just, it's kind of like siding, same thing.
we didn't get a design, did we, from Floating Dock?
Yes, we did. Well, actually, we did and we didn't. Their dock design was one of them that was in the bid specs. If you guys went back to the bid specs and looked at them.
Didn't see those, sorry. I mean, so at this point, you would, basically what we're looking for is a recommendation on who to pick. That recommendation gets written by you or I, and then it goes to the council to be voted on Monday.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm waiting to hear all your stuff, and then I'm going to put out my stuff to you.
Okay.
Pretty much what I'm going to do.
Brian yet?
Brian and Luther and Costellic and Rick.
I mean, my question for the committee is just, out of those, it seems like we're leaning towards the two being, how do you pronounce the Canadian one? Coughed? Coughed? Okay.
Coughed.
Cough and floating. I mean,
They're
they're pretty comparable.
talking about COP, their proposal is very complete, very exactly what you're getting.
Super detailed.
Yeah. It's like, I would say like that. I kind of agree with that too, where I saw it's like, wow, and we know what we're getting with it. And the price wasn't, I mean,
They're comparable.
they're fairly they're not so far off their blood out of the water.
Like they touted, they had that other packet, I didn't print it, but about how their docks can be frozen and no problem. And I kind of like that.
Yeah, they kind of emphasize how ice resistant they are.
Yeah.
And that was, I mean, when we're standing on site, that was one of the questions that I asked, is how they withstood the weather. Because we're dealing with these culverts here that were brand new to us. We've never seen them before. We know what the styrofoam floating system does. So I did ask that specifically. So that was covered, I believe, as part of the proposal for that reason.
Yeah, so all of their stuff is installed in the Great Lakes, right? A lot of their stuff is,
Mhm.
So would they have to be pulled at all like the ones on Prentice Street?
He said we could pop them up like we do the ones on Prentice Street and set them up that same way if we felt that was a necessity.
But we've left them, we haven't bubbled anything on the Prentice side.
We've never bubbled anything on the Prentice side, but we do pop the docks loose
Correct.
and set them on the shoreline there.
We bubble over the other side because of the,
Because there's no give on that. Right now, those docks, the floaters float. They go back and forth. We leave them loose so that they have some play and the ice shoving around doesn't affect them.
so if we replace docks on the, for this arrangement here, would we worry about bubbling across where the piers are now, or the?
I would prefer not to bubble that system as much as we do now. It's $1,600 a month for us.
But you'd still do something.
What I would do is much like we do with the floating docks on the other side, if it looks like we're going to have some issues, we would turn the bubblers on. The other side, we have a couple of compressors that we can run. We just fill them and let them run. Cut into it with a ice auger or something, get the bubblers under there and we bubble it to keep the ice from shoving into them.
I mean, what do they recommend? Taking them in and out is quite a bit of wear, especially on the Prentice ones.
Yeah.
They recommend leaving them in and
That was another conversation we had while she was there. She was kind of like, we do have a system now that Cooter would be more than able to build for us. It's basically just a slide bar that you slide back and forth. It would slide back and forth and on that slide bar. We've explored it a couple times and DPW has discouraged me from using something like that because he feels the docks are safer doing what we're doing with them this way. Cedarville looked at it and said, you do know we have a thing that you pull the pins and it just slides back and forth then, right? And I said, no, I didn't. And she's like, yeah, that exists. She's like, I can get you that.
What does your staff do they have a recommendation? I mean, as far as, have they reviewed these and do they have an,
Cooter has not reviewed them. He was out there with me during at least one of the visits and kind of was listening to what the guy said. But as far as having an actual care one way or the other, he doesn't care. He can fix whatever we put out there. That was his exact words. I can fix whatever you put out there.
just thinking out loud here, but if the hardware that matches the dock, are they similar to what we have or are they exactly the same, you know, as far as removal, lifting and all of that with?
Each of them have a different connection system, but it sounded like all of them could be lifted and pulled up like we are the other docks if we wanted to.
And the tube one, we could just leave.
Tube one, it sounds like we can just leave it the way it is. He said, feel free if you want to pop it out and move it. DPW's position is just keep bubbling it and suck it up, buttercup, for the $1,600.
Now, they had a flotation device, what, just at the docks or I guess
The first 22 feet,
side.
yeah, the first 22 feet is a ramp, much like it is on the other side, on the Prentice Street side. And then it just floats in that last 35, 40 feet, whatever it is.
But didn't they have a 5x4 by 5x5 flotation device right at that?
Yep.
That's right where the,
Right where, that's where the pivot point is, sits, correct.
talk about that. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it looks like they just put one post at the end then
Yeah.
or something.
The fingers were on there. I think if you kept scrolling, the next picture showed.
Yeah, there's the pipe.
And then he did say you would need, they call them screws, not spuds, that would go down in the end.
And Cedarville they didn't have any type of thing. The docks
the
just
same.
float like our docks.
They would float like your docks. It's like that length, you may want to eventually look at it. She's like, you don't have it spec'd as part of this. You could probably make do until you had to have them for some reason.
Well, my thought on it too would be if Cedarville, well, I guess, what's the half-life of the docks we have in right now? Like how far
They're 30 years old or better.
the new ones on Prentice Street are?
Yes.
Yeah.
She said that those should be at the end of their life at this point in time.
That leads me to say, let's go with the new system, the Canadian system. If they were halfway through, then maybe we could get a repair on them. The Cedarville attracts me, like you said, for it all being the same. And if they could come in and rework the docks that were there and give them a substantial extension of life, then I wouldn't be opposed to doing that. But if they're already at the end and we're looking 5-10 years to replace them anyway, this does appear to be a superior system than what we have now.
Yeah, I think trying to match, it's going to look like a dock. You only see a foot underneath it. It's going to match the rest well enough. It's not like it's be painted pipe is green or something like that.
Well, having like repairs and maintenance, having two different style of docks, that's going to be like, oh, we got to work on this one and we got to have different tools for this one. And then we got this problem. And then so having the same problem with all the docks, I think is probably a good thing instead of having two separate bags of worms. But if we're going to be replacing, looking towards the future.
If you started doing 10 a year or something like that for the next.
Mm-hmm. She did say that if they call it reskinning, if we reskin the bottom of the docks with the new material, that she expected we could get 10 to 15 out of them.
Do you have any price on that?
She was getting that for me.
Did Cross not, did you talk to them about if they'd be willing to look at the existing dock systems and if they could amend them?
I did not have that conversation with them because my thought is it's such a dramatic changeover from one system to the other that we'd be better to reskin them and try to get 15 years.
Yeah.
For me to build up a capital fund to replace them, start replacing.
And so in your opinion with that, I mean, if it was voted to go with the Canadian company, could we, if we had the budget for it, could we still have floating docks, reskin them?
She actually thought that we could do it in-house ourselves where
They just give you the equipment and you
well, it wouldn't even the equipment. All we would need is the material.
that material.
And then you put them on with fasteners, screws or
Corrugated plastic or something. Sheet.
it's actually metal.
Okay.
She didn't say what it was, what metal it was, but it was metal. And she said, Milwaukee nail gun.
The Croft Company they'd have them in by the end of June.
Yeah, that was another,
They were really quick.
Yes.
On the other hand, is that a good thing or bad thing? I'm thinking maybe after Labor Day, when the boats are out, might be the time to do it.
They were, yeah, they could have them delivered by the middle of May. I spoke to pretty much everybody on that side at one point in time or another last year. Everybody is willing to temporarily relocate for the summer if they need to,
To get it done.
if it means they get a dock, a new dock.
They'll say they were gonna do it or could do it.
After Labor Day was the earliest.
I do October and crop.
They had a cutoff. Was it late October?
They have a large marina, a large brand new marina that's going in on Houghton Lake, maybe, that they are committed to right now.
Have it done by end of October 30th.
Yeah, they could put them in by the end of October. And I mean, that, a lot of the guys on that side there, guys and gals on that side there, they're in till,
Late.
I'm telling you, I'm calling the one going, okay, you're on your own. Cause we're closing down, so.
Okay.
that's contingent on them finishing up their current projects and.
On time.
What could happen there and.
And they told me we had to take delivery of the docks this year.
Which one? Both of them?
Cedarville,
Cedarville.
location,
Are you thinking have them put them in?
not necessarily.
They come fully assembled and we just,
They come, yeah, pretty much they come in sections and then they are taken off with a crane. There's a set of pins that go into any of them as they go in.
60 grand.
And that's how they snap together that way.
So is because they talked about they have a barge with a pile hammer. Do we have that?
Ooh, which one?
Crop.
Off. They were more worried about the screws going in or however. They were talking about floating them around. I talked to him about us being able to do it and he said we would be able to do it if we wanted to.
I'm assuming though the big thing is with that support on the end, right? Being driven into the ground.
I think
They're a screw system, yeah.
So, those don't have to be secured very well.
Yeah.
Whatever goes in the end doesn't really have to.
It's kind of like a tide.
Yeah.
Because it just keeps stuff
keeps it from swinging is about all it does.
sideways. So if it's in the mud 2 or 3 feet, that's all it takes.
Yeah, and I mean, we're limited. We bottom out here, guys. We bottom out at 20, not even 20 feet, 18 feet. We're into bedrock.
Okay.
So they're used to big sandy bottoms and everything else, and they're not used to.
So you think we could get them in even if we did them ourselves? Could we get them in before June?
I feel so.
What was the delivery date on the one out of Cedarville?
Cedarville was after Labor Day.
Yeah,
End of
everything
October.
would be delivered and
So it's after the boats are theoretically out.
After the boats start coming out.
Like the crop one, better.
What, Rick, how about you?
I'd say the Canadian one. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. There you are.
You say?
Yeah,
Canada.
I would say the Canadian one would be the better.
Okay.
What are we doing with the rest of the budget? Either 80.
That will be, that's what I'm going to read you a little bit of my memo that I've already had wrote because I actually had to have it downstairs on Wednesday. Depending on what you guys determined here, I would change it tonight yet if I had to. We'd already had that conversation with management downstairs if I had to.
Has anybody called another marina with these docks?
With the metal ones,
Yeah.
I did not, but I read through their references.
I've got a friend that lives in Aurelia, which is on Lake Simcoe, I think, up in Ontario.
Mm-hmm.
Lives there, and he's a boater. I could probably follow up and just see who a contact person might be about it. One of them listed.
I just, it is like, hey, you bought this truck. What do you think about it?
Yeah.
I just,
Pick the tires or whatever.
I don't know, just a big purchase.
I heard to make one.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, there was quite a few of them.
We gave quite a list,
Yeah, they have both those companies
Do
gave.
they have any US companies in there?
I did not see any US companies.
Paying attention when I was going
Canadian.
through it.
Yeah.
But the only one that caught me was that Aurelia one.
So I'm assuming in there, I don't know the whole back and forth with Canada, but their bid would include whatever.
Costs are associated.
Yep.
Whatever.
Tariffs across or whatever, yep.
Bring them across at night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's load them.
And what about Paul's proposal?
I thought it was the weakest one of the.
Well, I do. There's no
Yeah.
question that that's true.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying that maybe is worth a discussion because he's one that may be loud.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I mean, that's no surprise.
Same foam that we have now that's falling apart in the same exact.
Different type of foam,
Yeah.
different type of foam.
I think the biggest thing that worried me with the LeBrec services is that I'm assuming these other companies have a team to install. LeBrec's was, I'll go to Star Staffing, and I don't. I mean, if LeBrec was the way to go, I'd probably say if the city could install it, but I didn't. I don't know. I mean, did he have any references either of like? I mean, has he done? I didn't even know he did docks.
Paul, is that you who's caller one?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, do you want to give them a little insight as far as what you gave me for insight the other day?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a basic rectangular box. Pretty simple to build. I have a lot of building experience from steel construction to homes, additions, etc. Pretty basic system. I'm not familiar with the other systems you guys are looking at. But I know the ones on the Prentice side have worked for 30 years and they'll be built exactly the same. So long story short, I mean, all I need is laborers to help me put it together. You know, I'll set up jigs and make everything exactly the same.
Thanks, Paul.
So it's, you know, I mean, there's no real detail. I mean, the prints that we got from the beginning are prints that are not even the same as the other side. I mean, the whole idea was, from what I understood, was to build them like the Apprentice side. So that's how my bid is. It's pretty simple. You know, there's no prints for them docks, but they're pretty simple. They are all falling apart underneath. My system has a PVC sheeting on the bottom, which will actually deflect the ice. And they'll last a long time. The foam is totally different. It's a closed foam. The only reason we had foam like that is the ice is coming up underneath there. In the areas where there's no steel sheeting left, because it's all rusted out. Our water's really corrosive, so you really got to watch the metal that you put underneath them docks. So that I was assuming was like a cheaper galvanized tin, and the ice goes up underneath there and scrapes at that foam and pushes it out. So that's why you're seeing foam all over the marina. Because I dove them docks for Donnie Gilmet a long while back, and you know, that's what we were videotaping, was all that stuff. But I got it. I mean, if you guys, you know, cut me loose on it, I mean, I'm local. We'll get her done, and we'll work with Shannon if there's anything she wants to do. I was telling her about the clips on the would be the new side. They might be a little skinny as far as engineering, so the docks don't swing back and forth. Might have to put another set of ears on there, you know, to make the dock more stable. What do I want to say? More stable left to right, so to speak. You know, you get two boats on there, you want some stability. As far as spudding in at the end of the dock with these screws, it's not going to happen. It's solid limestone underneath there. I mean, it's hard. That's why I was talking to Shannon about the pulling them posts out. You know, how far are them in the ground? Have they been drilled in? You know, some companies back in the day had these diamond drills where they could drill a hole and then shove a post in it and then hammer it in. So, you know, being local, I'm here to work with Shannon and make sure we get them right. So, you know, I'm making all my own steel clips. You know, that's what I do in the wintertime. I work for FIS Industrial, and I do industrial construction. I work with steel and welding and all kinds of stuff like that. So we're saving. That's where you're saving the money. Is a lot of that steel work's going to be done right here local, because they're big clips on the end of them docks. Each corner has a giant clip, 5x6 steel clip with 3 bolts in it each side. There's 6 bolts in each one. And the docks on the Prentice side, I don't know. I don't see them being on their last leg. I think you'll get it easily another 10 years on them if we, like Shannon said, pull them out of the water. This PVC sheeting would be the ideal thing to use, and recover the bottoms with that. And they last a long time.
What's the condition of the docks on the opposite over on the gas side, gas tank?
They're exact same way, Al. They're all the sheeting's falling off.
Is it the same?
The ice is getting up underneath there. I mean, this is stuff that we discovered, oh my gosh, 9 years ago. But, you know,
They're
of course,
a mess
nothing
that
was
they fall apart every year.
Oh, yeah, there's styrofoam everywhere. It's actually a big EPA violation that it needs to be taken care of, because it's just going to get worse and worse. And the foam underneath there, it's kind of like a styrofoam.
Paul, can I interrupt you for 2 seconds? We have to do a little housekeeping and we'll put you right back on.
Sorry, Paul, I got to get going to my next event, so I have to do this formal transfer. So I could just basic statement on. Okay. As a chairperson of this committee, I need to delegate Tanner Kostelik as VP as chair of this meeting from here on out. Cool. No vote needed?
Nope. Needed.
Okay, sweet. Thanks, Paul, for being here. Sorry to cut out on you.
Oh, no problem. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Paul. We just had to do a little housekeeping.
I mean, that's about it in a nutshell. The other sides need to be all redone too, the bottoms of them. And same deal, they'll last quite a long time. You can always take them docks if you have some rot on the bottom where your fasteners aren't going in. You could probably shave it, shave a couple inches and get some good wood out of it. Once again, it should last, man, 10, 20 years, because the wood's really not rotted, the main framing.
For the specs, does everybody do the demolition of the?
Demolition, remember we said we had $300,000. The demolition is going to be a separate bid based off of the recommendation here. If I buy the docks, one lump sum, give me some docks, it kind of separates out the ability there where I'm not having I'm not ultimately paying sales tax for it because we are tax exempt. So it's like one lump sum, sell me some docks, and then I can turn around and have a local contractor yank them. I got 3 crane companies with cranes available here local. So, I mean, at that point in time, it's easy for us to go in with crane, get the old docks out of it, and get ready for the new docks to come in.
Another thing, you guys talked a little bit about timeline. I can also have these docks in there by the beginning of June. So, because number one, it's all bubbled out right now. There's no ice. So what we'll do is construct the docks right here where my shop is, and then bring them there and put them in one at a time. As soon as they're done, bam, bam, bam. So FYI on that. We'll be done by the beginning of June. That's it. I'm sorry, Shannon.
Oh, that's fine. I just couldn't get all the information for everybody.
The flotation docking system talked about having to maybe move some of the rocks. Is that a concern with any of them? All of them?
It's,
I really didn't see any concern about moving any riprap. Maybe just a couple pieces underneath where where it latches to the wall, where it pins to the wall. But other than that, I looked it all the way down, and there's just a couple little rocks that got to go. But we'll have a backhoe down there, so if there's anything that needs to be moved, just shove it over.
I think what they're talking about is, potentially we've had water 3 feet lower than what it is. So that's the, when those would sink down, then that's where you'd have the problem. So.
right. And Cedarville did mention that was one of the things that I was concerned about as we were doing
Low water.
for low water. Additionally, I did ask Cuff specifically. He's like, yeah, no, he's like, I noticed that same thing. He's like, however, much like Paul just said, he's like, I think it's one or two. You just got to pop out of the way if it's an issue because of the way their bracket system works.
Yeah, and being a 20-foot gangplank on there, that puts you out
Quite a ways.
That's quite a ways. So your angle changes.
Sure.
Direction. Yeah, so it'd have to drop 6 feet to touch, I would think.
Paul, do you have you'd put the same connecting system to the break wall or the wall, whatever I'm trying to say?
Seawall.
Yeah.
The same connection as what we currently have?
Right. Shannon was, wondering if we can use the ones that we have now, because they are pretty stout. They're, none of them are loose. But for stability wise, engineering wise, I think it'd be smart to put 2 more clips on the outs, 1 clip on each side of them clips, maybe out, you'd have to take the measurement, maybe out like a foot or so from the clips that are there. So there's a larger spread on the clips on the Prentice side, and they're pretty stable. And they're pretty stable over there, even in high wind.
Is there any break wall repair we have to do in advance of that whole?
It does. Yeah, it doesn't look like it. That was old school concrete, so it's pretty hard stuff. I don't see any cracking or anything like that around any of the mounting sites.
Gets worse down toward the.
It does get worse down there, but there's nothing detrimental there that we're seeing.
Kind of by where they put the brown trout trailer,
there's some concrete. The actual sidewalk itself has got some wave to it, but not the seawall itself.
Okay.
The seawall itself seems to be square.
Yeah.
Solid.
Yeah, it's pretty solid still.
So between Paul's bid and, because Paul's is installed.
Yes, Paul's is installed.
Yes, that's installed.
The Canadian system, which was how much? And I was looking to you, 40 or something?
Not a Canadian one was $259 with installation.
Yeah, we were like what, 212? I'm not looking at it, but we're installed. Once again, we're gonna build them and bring them and put them in. That's how it's gonna roll if we get her. We'll build 2, bring them down, put them in. Build 2, bring them down, put them in.
I mean, I feel like, Paul, the marina, the docks that are here, so you've had the most exposure to it here. I do think I would want to see, I don't call it a blueprint, but
some sort of technical drawing.
Yeah, I would want that.
A breakdown of costs.
Gotcha. I mean, they're exactly the same as the other side. It's pretty simple. It's 2 by 12.
It's easy to say, but I think we would like to see that.
Right.
Anybody could walk down and say, "Oh, I could easily build that." Well, how are you going to build it?
Yeah, and every 5 feet there's a cleat. I mean, as far as the technical drawing.
Would
Yeah,
it be
I
a
could get
requirement
you.
of the city?
What?
Would it be a requirement on the part of the city to have?
Actually, a requirement, I would need
Specification.
shop drawings probably for them to satisfy the state.
Okay. So that would be, okay. Added cost for Paul or somebody.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, and then it's trying to get somebody to do it. I mean, I can do a technical drawing to a point on a graph paper, so to speak, but to have an actual print, I mean, that's a whole different world. You'd have to go to a construction company and get on their CAD design computer, and
Also, I mean, there's specs on the fasteners and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's why I was kind of a bummer that there wasn't prints for the ones that went on the apprentice side. That's kind of what we were looking for.
Well, I feel like we're getting a better value out of you, Paul, or not, I'll say value, it's cheaper. The other companies have spent the money to do the stuff that I think that has to be done, unfortunately.
Right.
They paid for
Again,
that.
you got to start somewhere. As far as a technical print of the docks on the other side. I mean, we can come up with it if that's what you want.
But what, is it waterways or what? I mean,
Because it's a waterways grant, they could require a set of sealed drawings.
that they will.
And I'm pretty positive they will, because it's the state of Michigan.
I mean, the
So-
prints that you have for the floating docks are pretty darn close, but they're not the same. Out there, they're 5 feet wide. The ones inside are 4 feet wide. So, that's why I didn't use that print. I didn't use that print to even bid on, because it's different. It's totally different than what we were asked to bid on, which was what the docks are like on the apprentice side. So,
Are you bidding on a 4 or 5?
Yep. He's doing,
When does everything have to be into waterways?
everything's got to be into waterways they've got to approve the contract before we issue the contract, basically. When that sealed set of drawings needs to be in, I wasn't really told that. It's not real specific in the contract.
So like,
did they say drawings in the contract?
They reserve the right to approve and sit on the decision board who does what.
Gotcha.
Pretty vague, but
Yeah, I mean, again, they're if they have a concern, then they step in, is basically.
it's pretty,
my impression.
pretty simplistic what we're talking about. So we're talking about 4-foot dock over there versus 5.
Yes.
Yeah, the ones on the apprentice side are 4 feet.
so was it in the Ontario one? When are they assuming they're gonna get to go ahead with the date? They said they can have
He
everything done.
said in his timeline, if they got permission to go on February 21st, they would have the docks here by May 19th.
So Paul, if we needed prints and everything by February 21st,
3 to 4 days away.
can you
4
get
days
those?
away. Oh man.
You need like engineer drawings. You can't just
Right.
back of a napkin.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta have a certified engineer sign it. Probably not.
Yeah.
Man,
Okay.
That's
I'm
typical.
working 10 hours a day, at the plant. It's shutdown time. This is what I do in the winter time. So I mean, I could graph it out on a graph paper, 1 inch equals a foot kind of thing. You know what I mean? So, I could probably pull off something like that, doing that on my lunch hour or whatever, but it's not going to be a technical, professional blueprint from a engineer.
Okay.
Are you ready to go? Have you given your opinion yet, technically?
I have not given my opinion yet. So, Paul, I'm going to invite you to leave or stay if you want to hear this. I don't care.
It don't matter. It don't matter. Live and learn is
Okay.
my motto.
Yeah, so I looked at a lot of different things. As I was going through the proposals, I looked at a lot of things. I read through a lot of different information that they provided us, conversations that I had while they were on site, et cetera, et cetera. A couple things that I noted as I made my decision was number one, delivery date was one of the things that I looked at pretty strongly on that. Cedarville, the known entity that we know exactly where we're going to get because we've gotten it from them before, is not going to get us our docks until Labor Day. That means that I need to expend money to keep the docks that we have there right now going. So that was kind of a black ball against them in my mind, is that I know the money I'm going to have to expend in order to get the docks back in shape for us to be able to limp out one more season with them. Another thing that I looked at, and I don't know how much you guys would have understood it, was they gave us that one sheet of information as far as this is what you need to do in order for us to get ready to come. And these are the items that you need to change for us to be able to put the docks in here. I'm certain Wayne has already seen the problem. For us to do that, it's going to be more money. So now they have added more costs, Cedarville. Yes, the local one. It is going to cost us a significant amount of money in order to do that because they're not supplying us the brackets. Koff is going to supply us the brackets. That was complete. Their price delivered was complete for them to bring to supply the brackets. I have to pretty much remove all the concrete on the backside, which I didn't plan on doing if I didn't have to, in order to put in the tieback system that Cedarville is asking for. So then that's another expense. So there was some things that if you didn't know what you were looking at it, you didn't realize it was going to add a significant amount of cost to their bid.
I didn't realize that at all.
I didn't either.
Correct. Koff's system, when they bring it in, it's a plate that is 4 foot wide, goes right on there. You drill holes and epoxy bolts in, and that's what's holding that dock down then. It's a pretty simplistic system that we have there. So that being there, that being a portion of that, that's a part of what I'm looking at as far as that stuff. They can have them here before I have to do a whole lot of work to those docks to get them ready. It's a simplistic system that we're going to be dealing with. They have sealed drawings already.
They haven't worked.
This is their thing. They build docks. Those were some of the things I looked at. So for that reason, I'm looking at recommending Koff.
Like a more modern design too.
It is a more modern design. Paul pointed it out to us. The styrofoam is a issue. It's an issue to us. It's all over the marina. We go around with a skimmer half the summer skimming styrofoam out of our out of our areas. So I in my proposal specifically, that was one of the things I noted is, if we could get away from the styrofoam, that would make me happy. That was the very first thing that Joni and I discussed when she got there, is there's a solution. We have a solution. We can fix this. Styrofoam is the way we build our docks. I know you're unhappy about it, but here's A, B, C, and D, so we can fix that. So we have a solution going forward with what we've got. With this other one, it's a steel drum that's there floating, it's repairable. We weld on it, it's fixed.
So were those the part that's not the ramp? Is that all one section then? Like
It is one section. It comes in one section.
tube is 140 foot
Contiguous,
long
Yep.
tube, which that would make it more stable in the end. I guess. Yeah.
And it's kind of got like almost a planer board system that goes off of it a little. I don't know how to explain it.
It would want to tip over.
Yeah.
To know.
And again, it's ballast, so that's a portion of it also. So those were the things that I looked at. So my recommendation that is actually downstairs right now is for the Canadian company. Now I'm looking at you guys because I want you guys to be happy with what we're putting in this marina, which is why I did not tell you my opinion until now.
So if
Paul's saying he's gonna do the same thing as the Prentice Street side,
Mm-hmm.
Cedarville docks.
Yes.
Wouldn't we have to do all these same things that Cedarville's saying would need to be done?
He's got a different clip system that he's looking at.
So do we know the engineering on that? So the Canadian system's basically gonna bolt it to that wall.
Mm-hmm.
Why did Cedarville think they needed tiebacks? And
Because they have a different clipping system than Canada. If that makes sense.
it doesn't make sense because it seems like they don't think what's there is strong enough. That's why they want to do the tiebacks.
Right. And their clipping system is just individual hooks that come up. Cuffs is a plate
So it spreads it.
that spreads it.
Yeah.
Yep. They're spreading their load on the outside and not making me put it on the inside and drill it through, is what they did. There's a C channel that they want that's got to run the entire length of the back of the seawall.
And that system is an add-on?
You have to pay for that to have it done.
That was on the Cedarville one.
That's
Yeah, that's an add-on,
pretty much.
expensive add-on.
How much do you think Cedarville added onto their additional costs?
Additional cost wise, concrete right now is $10 a square foot,
And how much would we need?
all of it.
The whole length of the thing?
Yes.
Removal and redo.
Removal replace was $10 a square foot roughly.
Okay.
What kind of shape is that in over there? I guess I don't remember.
It's got its works. I would fix all the trip hazards while we're there.
Mhm.
But I mean, is it bad enough that I got to take it all out? No, not necessarily.
Rather
So,
do it on your own time then.
I'd rather do it with our local contractor and not.
We've lived with the connection or the system that we currently have on the docks.
Mm-hmm.
We've, good or bad, we've lived with it.
Mm-hmm.
And we would duplicate that on the opposite side
Mm-hmm.
as the way it stands now with Paul's proposal.
Mm-hmm. It's a little different than the clip system, but yeah,
But it's similar.
similar. There's basically little hooks that come up and then the other dock sits into that, receives into that, and you put a pin through it.
Yeah.
And right now, because those docks over there are only, I think they're 2.5 feet wide or 3 foot or something, they're narrow. But because those are narrower, those clips that we're talking about are closer together. So that's why Paul's saying he would have to add another
Or add another.
clips outside of that for the width of the docks.
mhm.
And remember, it kind of V's in, for lack of better, so you'd have that little wider area there where you'd call in and clip in.
We're kind of looking for a motion at this point.
I am looking for a recommendation from you guys, which company you believe.
So with the Canadian company, which, whatever, the end pylon that's stopping us from left to right, are we gonna have enough to anchor? And you just said we just got to anchor in the mud, but my thought is we got these big long docks on 2 clips around that plate, putting all that left to right torque on a wall that Cedarville deemed not structurally sound enough to adhere to. I don't know. To me, this seems like you got all that side load, and maybe not that much. I mean, it's in a protected harbor.
We have the 2 posts on the end in the existing docks,
Correct. You have spuds on the existing docks.
and they're driven in or how, I mean, how do you,
In all honesty,
sitting in the mud?
we just drop them.
Okay.
They don't get screwed in, they don't get anything, they're just drop down, bang, done.
All right.
Have we had this, 50-foot dock, have we had anything break or separate in the sections or not?
Not really, nothing we've had.
I'm trying to think out there, those are bolted together and
They're bolts, they come in segments and they're bolted together.
contiguous, actually bolted.
They come in sections. If you look at it, there's,
Does it float at that point or is it all solid? The plates?
there's two plates that hook the sections together. There's basically a big rectangle shaped plate and it's got bolts that go through it. So they're bolted together and they float together at that point in time. And I think that Cedarville does, I think somewhere in my mind, I remember seeing them go in somewhere before and they come in just basically stacked on a truck with like pancakes.
Install wise,
Install wise, my recommendation here to start with, just because that plate system that Koff had was a little bit simpler, we were going to install them ourselves. They were going to ship them over from Canada. We were going to unload them with a crane and float them over where they belonged and hook them.
what do you think it costs to install on our own? You know,
I would put it as part of that other bid, so I don't think it would be.
are we doing it in-house or are you going to use somebody local?
I would use a local company. The next portion of this would be me bidding it out for that company to come in, demo what's there, adjust anything that needed to be adjusted, deal with the water system. Because that water system is breaking apart on me. It's galvanized, so I'm going to replace it with a different line. Remove the old light posts that were there and then replace the concrete that we have to take out in order to adjust the electrical or the, not the electrical system, the water system. And I was going to put an alternate in to change all the utility pedestals at that same time, if it worked out.
So do you think whoever does that can do all that in less than a month?
I hope so. They don't necessarily have just a month.
Well, I'm just looking at the timeline from crop installing is June 23rd.
Right. But I'm saying,
Show up May 19th.
if they're going to show up May 19th, my goal would be that company would be, that's
Already,
as soon as I have an idea, and that's a lot of why it hasn't been bid yet, is because I don't know what that company's got to do until I know who's going to do the docks. Until I have that information, that would give that company time to do it between when we bid it and there. The area is bubbled. You could start pulling the old docks.
Okay.
If I have a delivery date that's solid and sound, you can start pulling the old docks. They can move the crane in tomorrow.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's a portion of why we're trying to figure this out right now, who's where and what, because at that point in time, that's going to set into motion who's going to do next.
Well, I really like the idea of the Canadian system, and I guess I'm like you guys to help me here. I'm nervous about the existing seawall that torque in it. I don't know. I mean, Wayne, you're an engineer. You guys have expertise. What do you guys think?
Well, so what would happen is if it broke, you would
Fix it then?
cut it out and.
And it's not just the two hinges, there's a whole plate going right on the.
Right.
Yeah. And with the spud out at the end, that's going to eliminate the side to side. So
I think in my opinion, that's a superior system to go to.
I'm just looking at Steve for his feel.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have feel for docking systems. I mean, I gotta believe that spud out at the end is gonna stop any kind of.
Right.
You know, I mean, it does now. And that we've got out there, I don't have a feeling like there's gonna be a lot of force on that walk, on that wall.
Where you're going to have that torsion, if there is ever a torque and torsion on it, I feel it would be during the winter. One of two things is going to happen. Either we're going to pick up that system and set it on the walkway so that it doesn't torque on there as badly, or we're going to bubble that system and the ice is not going to affect it.
You don't think like
Wind,
my boat on a windy day?
no, that's what I was going to say. You get two boats like his on a windy day, it's going to put more torque on that than as much or more than the ice.
you think so?
Oh, yeah.
Because we're more worried, we always worry more about ice than we do about that.
Oh, like you said, somebody runs into it.
That never happens.
Never.
But look, once again, I think the Canadian system is this pier, I think that's where I'd like to go. I just want to make sure I'm not getting like sold on it. This is a really great idea, but in this application, is it a really great application? Is this the right place to do it because of the anchorings? But if you guys all think it is, then let's do it. I mean,
But I think you seem, Shannon, like, over time, there's gonna have to be repairs made regardless.
Mhm.
What the system is, it's not like we're gonna put these in and go 35 years without putting any money into them. Like
Exactly.
last round.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't go 35 years without putting money into the docks we have.
Yeah, I mean, they're not specking something based on pictures either. I mean, they were here, they saw it,
Yeah.
Now, would it be reasonable to get at least a verbal reference from some of their installs, a couple of them?
We can.
I feel better about that.
Nope, we can definitely do that. I can make some phone calls tomorrow on it.
You know,
If we don't feel we're ready to make a decision,
talk about, well, is it true? I guess that's all I'm.
right. If we don't feel we're ready to make a decision today, this is something that we can table and we can pull the memo off the agenda tomorrow and we can have a conversation with some more people and make an award at another meeting.
I don't want to slow it down either.
Yeah.
Delay it.
Yeah, I feel like we're all on the same page. Just
Yeah, I think we're there.
a little bit of more info, just to.
Do you want me to make some phone calls tomorrow to a couple
No,
of?
I think if to the council, if I were sitting on the council, I might prefer to have something that says, we looked at these guys and here's
Okay,
what we got back. Am I wrong? Is that reasonable?
I can make some phone
I
calls.
think we're feeling that here.
Yeah.
So,
You could always, if you wanted to, you can make any motion you want, subject to
Right.
then I like that.
Shannon's review if you want.
It's still, they can still,
Then you're still moving forward.
Right.
Yeah.
So when's the council meeting?
Council is Monday.
Monday. So I'd like to make a motion that we go with the Canadian company comp, or however you pronounce it, subject to favorable feedback from one of their customers, one or two of their customers.
Okay.
I'll second that.
All right. Any other discussion from any members? No? Okay. Entertain a vote to go with the Canadian company, subject to reviews that we would get. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right.
I will email you guys as I get results tomorrow from these companies. I'll try calling a couple of them already tonight. Sometimes I have better luck getting a hold of harbor masters in the evening than I do during the day for some reason during the winter.
Okay.
I will email you as I get information from them as far as which ones and stuff, what I find out. Okay,
And you're doing the recommendation to council, or is Don doing that?
I am.
Okay.
I make, all I was looking for was what direction you guys follow. Again, I depend on you guys to tell me what makes you happy down there.
Okay.
Because what makes me happy doesn't necessarily make you guys happy. So, I wanted to make certain that we were looking at the same thing
Cocktail hour from.
soon, very soon.
Thanks, Paul.
All right, thank you for the opportunity to bid, you guys, appreciate it.
Not a problem. Thanks, Paul.
Yep, thank you.
You gotta go. On to business item number 2, complimentary dockage reports. I got it.
Complimentary dockage reports. I have asked all of the entities that have complimentary docks within the marina to give a report to us as far as what they're doing with their complimentary docks in our marina. Pretty much because I want to prevent just somebody parking their boat there and not doing anything to benefit us, because that's a portion of what we ask for. In your packet, I believe the email from Sheriff Smith was there. Any questions on that? He chose not to actually come and present, but that's fine. Okay.
It's good.
I just, I believe, I know at the next meeting, River from Alpena Sailing is going to be in attendance to give his report to us.
we don't have any hanging that we were indecisive on, do we?
I don't believe anybody was hanging.
I mean, we did that last,
Yeah.
whatever.
everybody was kind of good.
Yeah.
With what we were doing there. So there's that.
Okay.
Al's got a bail on me.
Item number 3 is the travel service agreement.
Just so you guys are aware, and mostly I wanted to give you guys a heads up that travel lift and winter storage rates are going to go up next year. I've already started working on agreement with Marine and Storage, and they have indicated that they are going to need to have an increase. That increase they are hoping is going to cover us a third employee.
Okay.
So that's trying to get just better services for the boaters down there.
Yep.
I am in the process right now of making certain that all of the expenses on behalf of the city can be covered, and that will, at that point in time, set the price that I need to charge for winter storage next year. It's gonna be under $3 or under is where we're thinking right now. So it'll go up 50 cents, 250.
250.
So it's gonna go possibly, the highest it'll go is $3. I'm thinking more realistically, maybe 280.
Still cheap.
Are you thinking that's like a cap for a few years or?
I don't know, and that's, again, we're so up in the air with labor cost and everything else that
Been 250.
ever.
How's that? Do you have any idea how much anybody else charges for travel?
We were going to call or not call our own, we're gonna just check when interweb services and stuff like that. People from Grosse Point,
Mm-hmm.
they were really excited about that price when I was talking to them the other day. So obviously it's way more down there.
Yeah.
Um,
Sure. I'm not so much about the city. I just want to make sure Arlie and Reed are making enough money.
and that's where we sat down, we had a really frank discussion, and that's what they said. In order for them to feel like they're survivable, we need to bump it at least that 25 cents for them to be able to be covering just their time. If you take their hourly rate that they charge and put it towards that square footage and stuff like that for them putting the jack stands down and everything else, they're not making their rate even. So
Yes, I
that's kind of what that's being based upon.
think that's reasonable.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it seems like they take the time and they care, so they're not rushing through.
I'd rather,
and that's what they said, like even the price per foot, getting those slings and stuff just right, making certain those boats are being picked up even and level and everything else. It's taking them some time. So that's a lot of what you're seeing as far as those prices is covering getting them to their hourly rate.
when you do the calculation, whatever you come up with, add 5 cents. You're gonna be off.
Yeah.
Because you got a big boat, so I know it's costing you a lot more, but
And then-
those guys need to be able to, because without them, man, it's a real
grows
problem.
every year.
Yeah.
My boat grows every year, it seems
Yeah,
like.
that's right.
Well, that's you water it every season.
Yeah.
I know I like Rich's McTaggart's price on my dockage better than your price.
Yeah.
I'm just going to tell you, those were Rich McTaggart's numbers to me, and we have not raised dockage prices.
Oh,
Well, but there were some other things.
he had some other math in there.
He had some other math going on.
Yeah.
He had Hillman math, or I have Hillman math going on. I don't know where his math came from, but I have Hillman math.
Correct math.
Is that everything with travel lift?
Yep, so I'm going to be probably showing you guys those contracts here. We'll probably approve those in June just because we want to have them in place kind of for September 1 and not be rushed as we go into it. We met first week of February there. Every once in a while, my boss expects me to like do engineering work, so I try to make him happy too.
Oh, well, he can cover for you.
You can do that stuff.
Hey, on the travel, did you call Sheboygan?
Did not call Sheboygan. They're the next closest size. I was going to check what Roger City was charging.
They don't have a travel lift.
They don't have a travel lift.
You're really Bay City has a travel lift?
Bay City and then
Sheboygan, that's it.
Roger City has placed in trailer though, right?
they got that trailable one.
Yeah, but they hire a crane now to come and.
Pick the bigs.
So they wouldn't really.
Yeah.
But that's, it's,
You can get hey, I need to get lifted out to check this out in Rocket City.
Okay. On to item number 4, the yacht club. Is that you, Wayne?
Yes. So we would like to try to do a Venetian night, which if you don't know what that is.
I don't.
Okay, so people put lights on their boats and we do a parade at night.
Oh, how pretty.
And we used to do it, for a number of years. We would go, starts in the boat harbor, and it's not just people that are in the boat harbor, it's open to anybody. So people bring pontoon boats, whatever. Go up the river, under the bridge, and turn around by Noah and go back down through, and people
Okay.
used to love it. So
And Gentry, this sounds like a really good downtown thing.
she's not on. I sent her an email and haven't.
Don talks about this all the time, so I know he'll be on for it.
Here she is.
Wait, I'm here.
Okay.
I would not willingly be volunteered, but yes, I am all about that.
Okay, well, I'm just thinking this is something maybe we can coordinate with some of the downtown stuff.
Right, so we don't want to do it June 21st because it doesn't get dark until almost 10. So we're thinking later in the summer.
Okay.
And, I don't know if there's something else going on a weekend that we could do it in conjunction with that, or just bringing it up.
Okay.
We can work on a date.
Okay.
I'm assuming that you guys would open the bridge for us.
We would open the bridge for you. The only thing I would request is let's try not to do it on a cruise day.
No, and so those are things we'd look at. So it'd be on a weekend.
Yep.
Probably Friday night or Saturday, more likely a Saturday night.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
No, all things that we are more than interested in.
Right.
So, Ann?
Yeah, Wayne, I'll get with you tomorrow and I can send along any events that I'm aware of. I mean, honestly, end of July, August, even early September, besides the cruise ships, there aren't usually any other big events going on, but I'll touch base with you tomorrow and follow up.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. To the harbor master's report.
We have put a conditional offer in for a new employee. I think most of you were aware that Kelly has left the marina and went to DPW full-time. And we have put a conditional offer in with another employee. I believe this is going to be a very good fit for the marina. I can't release names at this point in time until it's official, but this is a older gentleman, very handy, journeyman plumber, very familiar with building and repairs and stuff like that. I think he's going to be a really good fit. Was excited about the bridge and stuff like that, which is one of the things I need people to be excited about. So we do have a new employee coming on. So that's going to be one less stressor coming. I think we're doing good for dock hands so far this season, but if anybody had anybody that was looking in a marina for the summer, send them my way and we'll take a look. Other than that,
What's the minimum age for that?
I am taking 16-year-olds. I can do 16-year-olds for the marina.
All right.
They can't do a lot of mowing or anything like that, but I can take a 16-year-old to do that.
All right. And chase geese.
What?
I can
Chase geese? We didn't have to go to our goose meeting this week, so I don't know what the whole status is there. We are going to put the hunkers back out early. Hopefully we can evict the geese before they want to hang out in my marina all year and go from there. That's pretty much all I have. It's winter and I'm happy.
Okay. Any public comment? Any member comment? Any staff comments? Next meeting is March 2nd. For a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you, gentlemen, for rearranging so we could have this conversation.
See you guys. Have a good night.
Bye.